So it's been a while since the last Quest devlog, so I should probably explain why I haven't made a devlog since May 29th, 2020. So I took a small break from working on Quest, and that's because I was not happy with the project. So, first thing was that the actual project files were a complete mess, and then the game itself was also completely broken from me being very sporadic and not being organized at all. So I decided to delete the project and completely start over. Well, I didn't actually delete it. I'm kind of a data hoarder. So this time I planned out how I wanted the game to look and feel. So I wanted to have two focuses, one on combat and one on mastering the environment. Let's start with combat. I wanted to introduce the player to an iron sword and then after that a silver sword. And you'll carry both these swords around, kind of like in The Witcher 3. So the iron sword will be most effective at killing enemies from the overworld, or light realm as I'll be calling it, and the silver sword will do best at killing enemies from the dark realm. So now let's talk about the environment. I want it to be challenging, kind of like Mario and Shovel Knight. So I'll probably have stuff like moving platforms and blocks or something that fall after so long as standing on them. Again, kind of like Mario and Shovel Knight. So I think that'll be interesting. I also want the player to have moments where the level's easy but they're focusing on a lot of combat. And then I want parts where it's the opposite way, where the level's a lot harder, but there's not that much to fight, so you're more focusing on trying not to die from the environment. Next thing is how I want the game to look visually. I want to mash retro and like a modern style of pixel art together. So most of the UI elements, if not all of the UI elements, will be 1-bit, aka black and white, with just basic text, kind of like old Nintendo games. And then the tile map or the level, whatever you want to call it, that would be a much more modern style of pixel art, but I would still have a little bit of retro in there, just not as much as like the UI. What am I taking inspiration from? Well, I'm taking a lot of inspiration from Shovel Knight and Mario, of course, in case that wasn't obvious, and a few others. One is a little from Celeste, like visually wise, and combat wise, a little bit from The Witcher 3. So I'm not wanting to make something that's 100% original because I think that would be way too time consuming and just extremely difficult to do without a team. But I do want to make something that isn't just like a copy of Shovel Knight or Mario or whatever else that's on Steam. Ignore the fact that I said Steam and Mario in the same sentence. I want to make something that is a lot different than 99.9% of the games on Steam. I just don't want to make something that's 100% different because that would be extremely hard, and ideally I would like to have this game done in a year to a year and a half. So I don't know how many of you know this, but I homeschool, so I have a fairly flexible schedule. But that also is what kind of killed Quest in the first place, was that I was so chaotic and all over the place that one day I was making a bow and arrow, and then the next day I was redrawing the entirety of my tile set. So now I have an actual schedule where I do school, and then I get off school at about 2 to 3, and then I work on Quest till 6 o'clock, and I will hopefully have a devlog out at the end of every month. So I'll work on Quest for 3 weeks, and then the last week I will edit the video and upload it to the YouTubes. So since I started my new schedule, development has been going extremely smoothly. Like, kind of too smoothly. like so smoothly that I've actually made more progress on quests in the past month than I did in an entire year of working on it previously. Which again is partly because I have a schedule now and I'm not all over the place like I used to be.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold up. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Sound the alarm. I have an announcement to say. If you want to download Quest in its current state, I will have a link in the description where you can download it and try it out for yourself. Please leave comment on video if you like the game or if you dislike it. Thank you.
So I'm gonna go over all the stuff I have now and is also better in this version of Quest than what I had before. So first thing is that the visuals are just way better. Like the tile set, the player sprite, the player animation, it's just all 100 times better. Except for the attack animation, that's actually quite bad. But everything else besides that is, in my opinion, really good, and there's some things I need to kind of tweak to fix. But overall, it's way better than what I had before. Another thing that's way better is my code. Now, granted, it's still bad code. I'm not good at coding, so yeah, but it's way better than what I had before. And more things that are way better is now I have knockback. So if the player gets hit by an enemy, they get knocked back, which is better than what I had before, where you could just stand and bounce on top of an enemy forever. When you actually jump on top, you get flung off. So that's a lot better. And also, you can actually attack the player with the very good, amazing attack animation that I have, and definitely am never going to replace because it's so good. I also implemented hold to jump, or I'm not exactly sure of the technical term, but basically if you click spacebar real fast you only jump a little bit, but if you hold spacebar you jump for pretty high. I think it's, if I remember right, 4 tiles high, and then you just fall back down. So that, in my opinion, is going to be a lot better than just pressing space and always going to jump out 2 or 4 tiles, because then you have much more control over the player movement as a player, obviously. Duh. And I think that's about all I've done. And you may be saying, wait a minute, before you had an entire save system and you had music and a few other things. And I have to say to that, the music was terrible. And the save system kind of sucks, and I don't want to do the save system anymore. I want to implement it a completely different way. And also, as bad as my code is, it is 100 times better than the old code for my project. I had like 500 scripts to do basically to have less features than I have in it right now, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's definitely a lot better now, even though there's technically on paper less features, it's way better. So if you want to try out Quest in its current state, which I may do a couple of polished things that you won't see in the video, but if you want to try it in its current state, I'll have a link in the description where you can go download it. And if you like the video, then hit that like button. And if you dislike the video, hit the dislike button. Although it doesn't really matter if you hit the dislike button, because YouTube has removed the dislike count in YouTube's infinite wisdom of somehow getting rid of features is now adding features. I love YouTube, but besides my small rant, if you like the video, like it, and I'm gonna have a lot more of these. They're gonna be a lot more edited down, kind of like my making a Crash game video, a lot more comedic, but this is more of an update video slash devlog, obviously. So that's why it's not as extreme and heavily edited as previous videos. But hopefully I will have more extremities in future videos. I don't think that's English, but whatever. So yeah, and
I'm gonna have a couple minutes maybe of gameplay at the end of the video in case you want to look at it. Gameplay. Yeah. Play the video.
So, I don't know how many of you know this, but I homeschool, so I have a fairly
And if you want to try out the demo thing, whatever you want to call it, of Quest, that's not English. Yup, that's wrong.